This is tutorial 1. It is the LABDRIVE tutorial, and it's a special online tutorial. And our presenter today is Antonio Guillermo Martinez from LibNova. And he's going to be talking to us about LABDRIVE, which is a research data management and digital preservation platform. Before we get started, I wanted to just give our thanks to our platinum sponsors, our gold sponsors, which includes LibNova, silver sponsors. And if you haven't already, there's a mobile app for this conference, which can be really helpful for learning about the program and meeting with people. So make sure that you download the app for the conference. And another thing to note is that there are collaborative notes for every session throughout the conference. So if you can jot down that or just go ahead and go to that, there'll be a folder and particular docs for every single session. Okay, I should have introduced myself. I'm Andrea Goethals. I'm the Program Director, Preservation Research at the National Library of New Zealand. And also, if you are a tweeter, use Twitter. This is the hashtag to use for the conference. Okay, I think without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Antonio, to get us started on this tutorial.
Thank you, and thank you for your introduction. I will start sharing my screen. Very good. So, first of all, good morning, everyone. So, I would like to introduce the LABDRIVE platform for you today. So, I'm Antonio Guillermo. I'm the CEO here at LibNova. I'm very involved in the product development and also customer relationships. So I would like to briefly introduce our company first. As you know, LibNova is a market leader in the digital preservation and digital content archiving. We have customers in 17 countries right now, and we have some of the most demanding organizations working with the LibSafe platform today. The company is almost 14 years old, and as you all know, the platform has been massively adopted during the last 5-6 years by the global community. We are the only major self-sustained company in the digital preservation landscape. We don't have venture capital, we don't have debt. The company is in a very good financial position, and we are basically reinvesting 100% of the profits we generate in product development and innovation, which is making the product evolve a lot in a very short time. And our work is basically focused on a long-term partnership relationship. So we are not just software provider, we are an organization that has been able to do hundreds of digital preservation platforms implementations, and we're helping every customer to not also to start using our software, but also to adopt the best or the good practices we consider and we have seen to be successful in the industry. About this project we are looking at, so LABDRIVE. The last product we are adding to the product line is LABDRIVE. So as you know, we have a very strong presence in the cultural heritage market, in which archives, libraries, and so on. So the next step for us was to basically extend all this to the research data preservation. Probably 70–60% of what you would use in a preservation system for a cultural heritage organization would be the same of the things you could use for a research data preservation. There is some differences and some particular approaches that need to be taken into consideration. 2 years ago, we won the Archiver project. This is almost 5 million euros funding from the European Union, and this has been giving us plenty of resources to basically improve our products and to understand what was needed by the community. So as I said, the project is an European funded, and it's led by the CERN. But we have also Germany, DESI, UK, MBIL, and Spain, the PIC. They have been testing the platform, they have been using it, they have been suggesting use cases, they have been performing huge load tests under it, and they have been providing back as feedback during the whole project life cycle. So this on the customer, would say the customer side has been a very enriching process, because we have been working with 4 of the larger research related organizations in Europe, and they have been providing their data sets, their experience, their needs, and so on, and based on them we have been building this product. On our side, we have been leading the consortium, but we have been not alone. We have been working with several universities and research centers. We have been working with David Jarrieta, one of the main contributors to the OIEs and to the ISO 16363. We have been working with 2 infrastructure and cloud partners, Auxility and Amazon Web Services, and we have also in the consortia BidIdea, which is one of the largest European security IT security providers. So we have been giving our understanding about preservation, but we are getting also real organizations also bringing their experience about preservation, research, data management, and also OIS standards and so on. And we have been getting scalability, insights, and plenty of resources to make the platform work at its best. And also we have been getting very deep security reviews and analysis and so on. And the result is what you are going to be, you are going to be able to see today, LABDRIVE. So what is LABDRIVE? It's basically a research, data management, and preservation platform. You know that this all started at the preservation point. So it's preserving data sets. But we discovered early on that if you want to preserve something that is research data, you need to provide the tools for the organizations to be able to start managing the data sets as soon as those data sets are created. Some organizations will just use the preservation side, so the end of the phase of the workflow. But the process of preserving the data sets is much easier and much cost effective if you start earlier. So if you give your researchers a collaboration tool they can use to start sharing their data sets as soon as they produce it, and then finally you preserve them. So we have been following 3 design principles when creating this. The first one is a unified approach. We saw that organizations, research-related organizations, were basically using dozens of different tools to keep different units, different projects, and so on. So we have been working to provide a unified platform that you can combine the physics units and also the humanities research in a single unified platform. The second design principle has been to provide a solution that is comprehensive. So it's, as I told you, it's not just the last step on preserving those data sets. It's, for instance, allow organizations to capture the research as soon as they produce it, or, for instance, to allow them to reproduce those experiments. You know that a crucial part of the scientific method is to do an experiment, and others need to be to reproduce it. And when your data when your experiments are digital, are basically source code, you need to have a way for this source code to be executed again and again, so the experiments can be reproduced. So this is why reproducibility is so important in the workflow. In LABDRIVE, we have several reproducibility engines built in. So you can not only preserve those data sets, but you can also run the code that produce the results and analyze it and so on. So we're embedding, I will be briefly telling you about it. It's Rihanna, SnakeMake, and Jupyter Notebooks and others. And the last design principle is for the system to be really open. So we are in the process of obtaining the certification, the ISO 16363. We will have it by the end of the year. So which is basically making a third-party confirmation that the system is fully aligned with the OI's principles, and of course it's capable of preserving it. But the platform is also ISO 27001 certified. This is information security. 27017. This is for PII management. So when you are managing personal identifiable information, this is a standard that is increasing the security regulation around it, and the 18, which is basically the highest security standard for cloud environments. Those are already certified. The platform is already certified, and we are externally audited once a year. There is no other digital preservation solution that has been able to achieve this high level of certification. And on top of it, we built it in order for 100% of the information to be easily exported or extracted. There are no exit barriers at all. So it is not only possible, but very easy to extract everything from the platform, starting from APIs, starting from how the APIs, archival information packages have been built, and so on. So we have been also working a lot to make it very easy to stop using the platform if you need to. The platform sits on top of S3 storage. And if you remove the platform and you just look at the S3 storage, 100% of the platform information is there, including not only the files, but also metadata, databases, logs, and so on. So everything is in the storage. And we created it to be very easy to be extended. I will be telling you how. So as I told you, this allows organizations to organize and unify their content. So we are transitioning from an approach in which organizations are keeping multiple platforms to a platform in which you can keep every research data set from any department you are producing. And this will allow you to basically manage the risk. So you will have an understanding of the research data sets you have. You can also manage the publishing rights management of the platform. So many organizations are starting to publish their data sets and to basically provide agreements in which others can access to not only open access, but also agreements between organizations and so on, permissions, control policy management, infrastructure management, and finally, a very detailed cost control. The second one is how comprehensive the platform is. So with the exception of the planning of the research activity, every other phase of the research workflow is considered in the platform. So from collecting data, the platform is not just a preservation and endgame stage for the data. It's a sharing, it's like a Google Drive, but for researchers, right? So they can start working on shared folders and start collecting their information and putting it together in a shared folder they can easily manage through the browser, but also using S3 endpoints and APIs and so on. Researchers can also process and analyze their data while in the platform. I will be briefly showing you, you have Jupyter notebooks, for instance. So you can also execute your own code that is going to be working with your data and so on. Users can also manage how the publishing and sharing of the data is managed. So for instance, we have already connected it with Invenio, but we continue our work of connecting it with other sharing and publishing solutions. Of course, the preservation, the core of here at Libnova, we have full OI's alignment and ISO 16363 We have everything you would expect from a modern preservation platform: characterization, fixity checking, storage management, format transformation, and so on. And when we think about the reusing this data, everything you put in the platform is full text indexed. So not only metadata, of course, that the platform allows you to use, but full text extraction. So you can search for anything you have in your source code, for instance, and you will get results, or anything that is in the text of a PDF, and you will find the document and the data set that is including this word and so on. And in thinking about reproducibility, as I told you, we're implementing Thorn's Rihanna, which is including many reproducibility workflows, but also SnakeMake and other platforms, including Jupyter Notebooks. So why the approach is unique, because it's basically allowing organizations to organize their information in a free way. It's also adapting to different needs of different workflows, metadata schemas, permissions, and so on. It scales a lot. We have performed multiple 15 petabytes ingestion tests. So the platform has been tested to be able to ingest more than 500 terabytes in 24 hours of content. So it's any volume you throw at it, the platform will be able to handle it. And in relation to the openness of the platform, as I briefly told you, as you know, the ISO 16363 is basically the gold standard in digital preservation. There is no other better standard for certifying trustworthy repositories. So we initiated the certification. We obtained the initial certification July this year, and we will get the final certificate by the end of the year. So you can fully align the platform with OIs. It is also fully aligned with the fair and the trust principles. We're not only telling that, but we have also plenty of documentation that is available online on how we align the platform to that. We are externally certifying and auditing the platform with the standards that I briefly told you. And as I told you, 100% of the information can be retrieved at any point in time in a very easy way. So no exit barriers at all. So, and what about the platform itself? So how it looks? So as you can see, everything is web-based. So the platform has been designed to have an equally important interface, graphical interface, or web interface like the one you can be when accessing the platform, but also an equally capable API. We have more than 300 methods in the API. So anything that I can do in the interface is internally using the API, which means that anything you can do in the platform can be done using the interface or using the API. So you can choose, or your users can choose on how they are going to be using the platform. In the platform, everything is organized in a hierarchical tree, in an archival tree. So you can create nodes for your departments, units, experiments, I don't know. So it depends on how you would like to organize your information. In the nodes, you have the containers, which could map to experiments or could map to departments or whatever. And inside, when you open your containers, you basically get details, you start getting preservation related insights, workflows, metadata capabilities. When you click in the explore, you are able to see basically your files. So you can simply drag and drop here. You can right click and perform actions. You can open folders like in a file browser, in a traditional approach. You can open files even if you don't have the software to open them. So for instance, I don't have AutoCAD, but they can still double click this AutoCAD file and I will be able to open it. We have support for more than 300 formats to work this way: multimedia, images, documents, research related content, databases, and so on. So it's very powerful on performing these actions. You can apply massive actions to files. So you can select them, you can search them, you can drag and drop. You can, for instance, apply metadata in bulk to them. So it's pretty easy to start applying metadata to the content. And when you look for a given file, you see in the properties, you can see For instance, we are characterizing everything under the hood. We are performing A/B scans. The system is creating and verifying the integrity information. So 3 stages here. The first one is if the package you are ingesting is coming with fixed information, the platform is able to verify it for, I don't remember if it's 6 or 8 standards, so including METs, but also BAGIT, for instance, or a CSV based manifest, or a MD5 or SAG1 manifest. So we have support for several formats, and you can, of course, extend them. The second point would be for the system to generate them. So if your data is coming without fixed information, the system is creating it for you. And the third is automated audits. Every 90 days, every file is rehashed, and the hash is compared with the hash we have. So we are able to detect any change that could happen to the file. And the platform is able to heal it because of the underlying storage. In the metadata, we have a simple Dublin core schema, but you can create any kind of metadata schema. You can have multiple metadata schemas for the platform. All this metadata is searchable. You can import and export it in multiple formats. So out of the box, you have XML, JSON, and CSV formats for importing and exporting. You have 7 types of fields. So not only strings and dates and list of values, but also links to create links from those data sets to other data sets, or to basically build reproducibility networks and information representation networks and so on. The system is also extracting all metadata it is finding on all files. We are using Apache Tika under the hood and 3 other engines. So we're extracting everything that is coming from the file. This is also indexed and tracked. We have full premise conformancy. So we have premise level 3 out of 3. So we have the highest adoption of the premise preservation events and so on. The platform is taking care of the storage, being able to have multiple copies in multiple locations. So even if you are using S3, the platform is also creating a copy in Glacier for everything you preserve. So you can also have abstraction of the cloud provider, and it's keeping also versioning engine that is keeping trace of everything you have. So this is related to the how files are handled. As I told you, you have Jupyter notebooks and reproducibility engines. So if you open a Rihanna, for instance, experiment, you have here in this container, we have some C code. So this is C code, and we have here more C code that is building an experiment. And then we have the YAML file that is describing this experiment. And I can simply select it, run the Rihanna workflow, and this will execute this experiment and produce the outputs, right? So this experiment is producing this plot and so on. But you have a full Rihanna environment that is running under the hood. So any experiment you have with Rihanna can be executed there. You can also run Jupyter notebooks. So I have a Jupyter notebook here that is using the data sets that are in the platform to, in this case, building some diagrams and so on. But basically, any Jupyter notebook you have could be executed in the platform. So you have also that. As I briefly told you, search, everything is full text indexed. You can search very real quick. So you can see it's full text. You can face it, of course, your search for the results you would like to get. It is also capable of searching in the embedded metadata. I didn't tell you, but we have tested it with several billion files, right? So this will give you results in milliseconds, even for extremely large research data sets and so on. You can, of course, build your custom searches, right? So you can have plenty of examples. We are adopting Elasticsearch under the hood. So it's basically anything you can make, any query you can make, we can make with Elasticsearch. You can make it for your data sets and so on. There are permissions you can adjust, who is able to change, to modify, to see what. There are plenty of reports in the platform you can use to understand your collection. Many interesting reports, right? File format at risk, metadata export, file format discrepancies, encrypted content, potentially unwanted files. So it's not just the traditional list of hashes that is also here or duplicates, but also many interesting reports. You can share the content with others that have not access to the platform. Here is a way in which you can see your premise events for the whole collection, right? So everything you see here is a full premise record with everything in related to the platform. You can run functions. Functions are like macros for this platform. So you can go here, you have your functions, and your functions are basically Python code. You have here your your Python code here that you can make the platform run with the user just selecting it in the interface, right? So you can create really complex processes under the hood, and the user will be able to run all this code just clicking in an option in a button in the interface. So you can extend it. You have many data analytics reports, smart assistants to understand your data and how you can optimize the use of the platform. And here in the configuration, you can configure everything. So there is you don't have the need to touch an XML, a JSON file to manage this platform. Everything is based in the web interface. We are including federated authentication in the platform, and here you have the functions and so on. So that's it. So as a quick recap, unified platform is able to handle the research data for the whole organization. Comprehensive. It's not just preservation. It's a lot more. It's management. It's capturing the information as soon as it is created and so on. And it's one of the most open platforms out there. And this has been externally certified and verified. So I would say that's it. To your questions, in case you have them. I will. Questions? I assume I'm getting your chat messages in case they.
Yes, there's no questions in the chat. Oh, here's one. What about archival functions like controlled disposal?
Yes, you have them. So this we have implemented them as a function. So you have plenty of options. This is part of the research data management lifecycle, and so because we don't have plenty of time, but you have it. So you can, for instance, configure that 2 different users could have to approve for a deletion. You have also metadata-based disposal. So you can, for instance, tell the platform filter about the data sets that are not final, for instance, that are older than this date. You can make the platform automatically get rid of them. You have also multi-tier storage. That is something we see that organizations are using a lot for not disposal, but cost reduction. So it's moving the not the final version of the data sets. So the not final version of the data sets, to move them to a much cheaper storage. So you are keeping them, but with 1/10 of the overall cost of them. So there are plenty of options there. I'm not telling you, but of course, anyone that is interested in getting a full presentation of the platform can contact us during the premise or after the iPres or afterwards, and we will present the presentation in depth. And I will, Andrew, I will send you. I will try to locate your contact, and if I am able, I will send you more documentation on this topic that is already online. Michelle, yes, LABDRIVE is supports SAML-based and single sign-on. Is part of the federated authentication. We have tested it. We are part of the UK Federation, so anyone that is federated in the UK Federation or associated with someone that is associated to the UK Federation, this is 90% of the overall research institutions worldwide, will be able to start using it almost without configuration. And you have plenty of options there. So for instance, automated account creation. So you can tell the platform to automatically create users for you and so on. So it's a very good support of it. Does the system has an online interface for open, restrict access to the wide public? Our approach here is to, this platform is basically for managing this. We see that there are plenty of platforms and many of them are already working for research institutions to publish their data sets. So the initial approach is to, instead of the platform to provide functionality to that, is to basically integrate the platform with Zenodo, Invenio, for instance, or other platforms out there. We have integrated already with several platforms for our customers, and this will be the way the way we will approach to this problem in the short term. In the long term, we will be also providing as part of the solution a component for smaller institutions to start using it immediately and sharing their content. But this is not expected to be here until mid next year. So it's short term is integrating with other platforms. Mid term is for you to have a platform, a component that is going to be part of this to do simple things and continue integrating with more robust and extended platforms out there.
I have a question for you, Antonio. You mentioned in the beginning, in the introduction, that one of the principles or strategies for this was that you built in a way or a strategy for exiting out of it. So could you talk more about that?
Absolutely. First of all, part of in the public documentation that is docs.libnova.com, you have the LABDRIVE here, link here, and in the first, sorry, it's slow. I think well, you have several technical articles on how this is performed, but in the OIS and ISO section, you have in those guides here, particularly in this one, you have even source code that you can use to extract the content from the platform in any point of time. This documentation has been created by David Jarrett, who is, as you know, the head of the OIS and ISO 16363 working group. So he tested himself to be able to perform, so to have a full OIS alignment, so including extracting the information when needed. And you have plenty of documentation on how this is confirmed and how this is done and so on. You don't have one, but multiple ways in which you can extract the platform content. The first of all would be the API, I would say. So the API is a very comprehensive API. So you can write your own thing to extract your archival information packages and save them in the way you want. But you can also, for instance, the platform is also creating CR-based database exports every night. So the whole database of LABDRIVE is exported in CR format every night, and it's placed in a version storage that you have as a customer can access. So there is nothing that is not in the storage and the database. So depending on the degree of complexity you would like to deal with, you can approach to the extraction in one way or another. And you have also an interface in the platform that allows you to basically create and transfer your archival information packages to another S3 compliant storage solution. So every major cloud provider is providing an S3 compatible endpoint, so you can use it to basically extract your data. This is just an overview, because you have many options on how to extract and how to extract all your content and so on. So we recognize quickly that what is going to make organizations to use the platforms is not that they can't live, like happened in the past with many solutions. And we are basically building all this technology over the LiveSafe technology that has been demonstrated to be able to perform these kind of actions. Not only it's not only possible, because if not, you would not be talking about preservation, but it's also quick and fast and easy, which is completely so it's of course much better for our customers. So for instance, we are not applying, like other providers, a cap on the speed you can retrieve content to the platform. It's full speed, so which makes the migration of a larger data set impossible in other platforms in real terms. In this platform you can, it's full speed, everything is clear, everything is open, and also everything is very well documented. There's a question if you can use the docs. Absolutely. So I will provide a link here. If you see something that needs improvement in the documentation, or that you would like to see an article or whatever, please tell us, because the documentation now is pretty long and pretty detailed, right? So you have many examples, you have the full API, has been documented with a ton of, so this is the whole API methods we have implemented. So as you can see, it's very deep and very detailed API, but we have also included information on how to do a scripting in the platform, how to do your own scripts. In this case, are Bash or Python scripts to perform your actions and so on. But if you miss something, tell us, and we will be improving it. Something our customers tell about us to other customers is that we are very good at improving and solving problems and improving our platforms and so on. So I'm extending this offer to you.
Okay, so everyone has an action item to look at the documentation and see if there's anything else.
Thank you. Fabiana is asking us what is the approach to plan for the system development roadmap. The development roadmap is a really long document, because we are keeping very active development. So the company is almost 60 people right now, I would say, or about 60 people right now. So, and we don't have a sales and marketing team. Those are very small. So over 60–70% of the team is basically engineers and support team and so on. So we are very product oriented and customer community oriented. So the development roadmap is huge. I will try to get your contact, Fabiana, and we'll be sending it to you. But it is basically growing in several areas, 3 main areas. The first one is integrations. We have, for instance, just completing the level 2 integration with Archive Space. We have also delivered the integration with DSpace and Content DM and Invenio. And we're working with, so we are adding support for 4 additional platforms by the end of the year, in the December, by December 12th of December. So this is one area. The second area is UX, user interface. So we're working a lot on making the platform much easier to use. And we're constantly doing, we have several UX research engineers that are constantly looking on how we can make complex things easier, because the things you make are indeed really complex around preservation. The thing is how we can simplify them, how we can, in our terms, is reduce your cognitive load, right? So it's making them as easy to use as possible. So this would be the second big area of improvement. And the third one is new functions in the platform. So we're constantly adding new reports, data analytics tools, and so on. We don't have time today to go deeply to the report, but you have a built-in reporting tool that we're integrating to the platform. So yeah, but things in this area. So these 3 big areas are the ones we're paying attention. The roadmap is completely customer oriented. So we believe that there is no other platform like LABDRIVE in the market today. Nothing that even gets close. And we can't look at our competitors. So the only source of innovation is coming from our customers. On every implementation, we are learning what is missing, what they would like to have there, and based on that is how we are improving. So the roadmap in this way is a very short-term roadmap, right? It's a 1-year roadmap, because we're constantly adding and managing the product. In the previous year, we delivered almost 200 versions, right? So it's a continuous delivery, integrated workflow, and it's constantly updated, right? So when we start working, we have less than 2 months on when we start working on something, and our customers are able to see it in the platform, thanks to the continuous integration workflow. It's very easy for us to add new functionality and so on. Sorry, Fabiana, my question.
So you mentioned the UX, but the question goes a little deeper to ask how you prioritize. So if different users want different functions, how do you handle prioritizing the development?
This is a complex thing. So we are managing two basic properties per item. One is the complexity for us to perform the improvement, and the second one is the priority for the development. So it's not the same that we have a customer that is trying to use, sorry for the background noise, and here the iPres cafeteria, and they are about to open, so sorry for that. I was telling you that it's not the same that some improvement that would help a customer to perform an initial ingestion much better over something that is changing the interface and so on. So we're prioritizing both. But besides that, it's a traditional agile approach. So in every sprint that for us is 2 weeks, we are selecting what we're going to be doing, and depending on so it's basically decided by us. So what is going to be in the software or not, and how, is something that we decide in a bi-weekly approach. There's no more advanced methodology or whatever is basically decided by the team that is in charge of the product development. You have one thing that would be useful for you is that for every product in the documentation, for instance, I think in Go you can quickly see it. You have, by the end of the documentation, you have the change log and release notes. Here you can see, and it's the same for LABDRIVE. You can see the changes we are applying to the product. So in early August, we did these things. Also in August, we implemented all this new functionality. And I would say 60%, 50-60% of those functionality items are requested by our customers. You can see that this is just 1 month, right? So everything you see here is just 1 month. Another one and so on. So it's pretty. We are getting huge investment on product development, and we are making constant improvements over the platform. Feel free to take a look also at the change log.
Okay, we have lots of time for questions. Is there anyone who wants to ask Antonio something? In the meantime, while they're thinking, I was curious about the full text search that you were talking about. Is there, do any of your customers, or is it possible to actually reuse that full text search index for other purposes? So besides the management within this application, can people actually use that index for other things, like for access?
Absolutely. If you integrate it, so this would require, of course, integrating it with your access platform. But here you are using an API. So if we go to the search methods, well, in fact, in the documentation, you have, let me switch back to LABDRIVE. And here in the documentation, you have the search that explains you that explains you how to, sorry, the internet is getting slower. I guess a lot of iPres colleagues are starting to join to the Wi-Fi network here. Well, here in this article, it's explaining you how to search using the interface, but also how to search using the API. It's basically, you can query the platform using the API, and you get a JSON structure that you can reuse in any third-party platform. The end goal there is to, we have this module is open access. This is an access tool for the product, the cultural heritage type of product lines, right? So this is aiming at libraries, archives, and so on, and basically allows them to create their collections when they want to share their items. So the items they have preserved in the platform, they can basically access them here. So our effort is basically, we are creating a new product based on the open access technology, but it's going to be aiming to the access side of research data. So you will have something close to what you see here, but that is applied to the cultural heritage resources, but we will be making it available also for research data sets. So related to your question about reusing this capability of sharing your searches and so on, in the close feature next year, we are going to be presenting this, but for research data. So this interface that is already built, is already a product we have, but aiming at research data sets with faceting and so on. So all the functionality you would expect for this kind of system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Antonio? If not, if you would like to turn on your camera, we could all give Antonio a visual applause.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and your interest here. So, as I told you, I will be giving you in the chat or contact email address, so you have it there for anyone that is interested on knowing more about LABDRIVE or any other of our products. As you can see, we are really happy to share with what we do, and so we would be delighted on being able to informally tell you about them and so on. So anything you need, please ask.